January 1st, 2020, our family of 5 landed in LAX after we had sold our house and moved across the country to start our new life in LA. March 2020, the world shut down, my kids came home, I had to learn how to homeschool them. September 2020, I sold my business that I had built from the ground up and ran for over a decade. October 31st, 2020, our family landed in Philadelphia International Airport to try and rebuild the life that we had left for LA. And since then, we've experienced a multitude of other stressors, like buying a flip, and my husband had to stay in the hospital. We're still looking for a home over a year and a half later. Guys, I know all about stress. I could write a book on stress. Hey there, my name's Amanda, and I am here to help you live your healthiest and happiest life. We're going to take little tiny baby steps to help you accomplish your bigger dreams of being healthier and therefore happier. Today we're going to talk about managing our stress levels, why it's important, and I'm going to give you a few tips on how you can do that. Super simple things that everybody can do. Okay, bad news first. Stress is bad for you. So let's talk about the effects of it, but stick with me because there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm going to give you some really good tips on how you can manage your stress and avoid these bad things. Okay, first of all, stress leads to a risk of heart attack. Stress is hard on our bodies and it's hard on our heart. As women, we already have a greater risk of heart attack. So it's something to keep in mind. Is the thing that is stressing you out worth these risks? Is that stressful job, or is that pressure that you're putting on yourself over that job, or the pressure you're putting on yourself over being the perfect mom, is that worth a heart attack? These are questions I really want you to ask yourself. Number 2, our headaches. Stress causes tension in our body, and a lot of times our headaches are actually caused by tension. They're called tension headaches. So stress could be the reason that you might be suffering from headaches. If you are a person who suffers from headaches, you know that that can lead to other issues. That can lead to fatigue, that can lead to lack of exercise, that can lead to depression, anxiety, all because you have that headache that was caused by stress. Another effect of stress is a weakened immune system. Going through 2020, I think a lot of us learned more and more about the importance of a healthy immune system and the importance of preventative health. That's what we're talking about right now, preventative health. A strong immune system is so important, and stress weakens our immune system. So we want to make sure we're avoiding stress for that reason. Another effect of stress is increased depression and insomnia. So I actually probably should have said that the other way, which is increased insomnia and depression, because insomnia and lack of sleep can in itself lead to depression, anxiety, sugar cravings, carb cravings, which all those things lead to fatigue. They lead to lack of exercise. Do you see this cycle here? It all informs each other, right? These effects of stress, they go full circle, but we want to be in a different circle, right? We want to be in the thriving circle. We don't want to be in the stress and sick circle. Again, that's why we're talking about preventative health and learning how to be well instead of fighting the illness. Another huge effect of stress, which I believe is informed by all the things I already talked to you about, is weight gain. I'm not here to tell anybody what size body they should have. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in diets. I believe in a healthy, happy life. Whatever that looks like on the outside, it doesn't matter. But if you're someone who is trying to lose weight or maintain your weight for health reasons, we got to pay attention to our stress level, because stress sends a signal to our adrenal glands that we're in danger. Something is not right. And when we were cave people, that was really important, because let's say an animal was going to attack us, our body shot out this hormone called adrenaline and cortisol. Both of those things helped us to have energy to get away quickly. But in the world we live in today, we don't really need that, but it's still there. And we are constantly faced with all of these stressful triggers. An email from your boss, your kids screaming at you when you're trying to get dinner prepared. All those things can lead to that response from your adrenal glands. Well, when our body releases cortisol, that is glucose that can give us the energy we need to get through that. When our body releases cortisol, it can lead to fat stores, especially in our belly region. So if you're storing fat around your stomach, it's probably an indication that you have a lot of stress and we need to work on that. Additionally, if we're constantly triggered and our adrenal glands are constantly in this fight or flight mode, it's a little bit harder to get out of it. We need to work to tell our brain and our body that we are safe in certain situations. So that is a lot of times where meditation and yoga do come in to help calm our system so that it knows that we're safe. And some of these triggers won't actually have that effect on you anymore the more you practice this. But if you are trying to maintain a healthy weight, you want to pay attention to your stress levels. I'm going to take a water break. Super important, water. If you didn't catch it, please go. If you didn't catch it, go watch my video on water, especially if you're someone who, again, is trying to maintain your weight or you've hit a plateau in your weight loss goals. Did a whole video about water and how water is so important for our bodies. Did you guys see that? I just spilled water. Okay, moving on. Now we're getting to the good stuff. Yay, we talked about the bad stuff. Now let's talk about stress management and my tips to get you started on managing your stress levels in a very triggering world. All right, so how do we do that? These are just 5 tips. There are so many others. I feel like for those of you who are beginners, this is going to be really easy for you to accomplish, and that is my goal, to make things simple so it actually gets done, because the most important thing is to start somewhere and do something. If you only do one of these things, you're literally taking a big step towards better health. My first tip is writing down your thoughts. I do not mean journaling. If you are a person who likes to journal, good for you. But I don't want to scare anyone away that is not into journaling, because I just can't figure out how to journal. For some reason, a personal journal just doesn't work for me. What does work for me is emptying out my brain, and that seems to lower my stress level dramatically. So for instance, the other night I was feeling really overwhelmed and stressed, and I was folding some laundry, and whereas I probably normally would have liked to have put on Gilmore Girls, by the way, that show is awesome. I don't know how I never watched it when it was actually on, but I'm in love. Sometimes I like to watch it while I fold laundry, but I knew that by doing that, I was just numbing my brain, and what I really needed to do was to get my thoughts out on paper so that I could make sense of all of it. So what I did was I took a notebook and put it right next to the laundry basket, and as I folded in silence, things would come up in my head and I would write it down. And it actually ended up being a nice little organized list of things that needed to happen. We're gonna go on vacation soon. I had little things I needed to do. So I just emptied out kind of my to-do list that was hanging out in my brain and causing me stress onto the paper. And when I saw it, it was so much more manageable than I had made it up to be in my head. And you can do this with anything. It doesn't have to be a to-do list, especially when to-do lists can actually stress us out even more. But take a piece of paper, do something meditative, like for me, folding laundry in quiet can be meditative. Do that, and as you stand there, the things that come up in your mind, just write it down. Get it out of your brain and onto a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be like a journal. It can just be a notepad of just, oh, I just thought of this, or I was thinking of this person, or I'm worried about this. Write it down, and that's going to help calm your body. My second tip is breathing exercises. There are so many different breathing exercises that you can do to help calm your body, especially in times of stress. And I, for one, know how hard it can be, especially when you're at home with kids, to take that moment to breathe. There are times when I feel like my stress is up here in my throat, and if I get a moment, if I have to, I'll put my kids in front of the TV, and I will take 5 minutes to do a breathing exercise. There are plenty on YouTube. I will make you guys a video for one soon. I would advise you to go look up 4-part breath. There is a breathing practice called Nadi Shodhana. And so if you Google how to do Nadi Shodhana, I'm sure there is a video on that. It is super helpful, very easy, takes little to no time. Otherwise, just sit down and set a timer for 2 minutes and pay attention to your regular breath. That sends a signal to your body that it's time to calm down. One thing to keep in mind is when you're doing your breathing exercises, make your exhale longer than your inhale. That helps to calm the body even more. My third tip is to create boundaries. Boundaries is just like saying no. If you find yourself in a position where you're saying yes to things over and over and over, when it comes time to do those things, you're feeling stressed, anxious, worried, you don't want to do it, it's time to write down your priorities and consider setting boundaries. So if those kinds of things are causing you stress, reevaluate your priorities and set some boundaries. See what you can release from your schedule. Take away the guilt. Remember that you're doing these things for your family so that you can be around for them. If you're signing your kids up for a million sports and that's stressing you out, it's not going to be worth it if you're not around anymore. My fourth tip for you is adding in some walking or exercise. I recently added a morning walking practice to my day, and it has been incredible. We have a local park that is like walking through a forest. So I take my daughter and I actually walk for a half an hour. If you had asked me a month ago to go out and take a 30-minute walk in the morning, I would look at you like you had two heads. I'm a busy person. I don't have time to go for a walk for a half an hour in the morning. But one day I just felt like, hey, it's beautiful weather. Let's go try this out. I put in my earbuds some days. Other days I just walk in silence and clear my head. And now I just look forward to it. I want to do it. I don't care how much time it takes. In fact, I don't even notice that that time is gone from my day. So my tip to you is find time in your day, it doesn't have to be a half an hour, to just start walking. It's nice weather right now. If you're able to get outside, get some of that vitamin D, some fresh air, and walk for, let's say, 10 minutes. If you could do it in the morning, if you're a morning person, maybe you do it at lunch if you have a lunch break, or in the evening as a walk with your family. Go to a local park if you don't have sidewalks in your neighborhood. Just make it happen, and trust me, you will definitely notice the effects. If you want to take it up a notch, you can incorporate my first tip, which was to write down your thoughts. You go for a walk in silence and you bring a little notepad with you or your phone that has the notes section on it, and as thoughts come into your head, just jot it down and let it pass you by, and then you're just moving on. You can deal with those things on the paper later, but I promise you, once it comes out of your brain, it's onto that paper. You're going to look at that paper and you're going to go, oh, that's super easy, or that's not really as stressful as I thought when it was up here in my head and my brain was tricking me into thinking like, whoa, this is like catastrophic stress, alert, alert, alert. Okay, so exercise, go for a walk, do what works for you. And it doesn't have to be some big exercise event where you're trying to lose weight or burn calories. This is more for your mental health, and that's how I want you to look at it, that you are going to feel better mentally after you do this thing. Keep it as stress-free as possible, because that's our whole point, but get out there and move your body in a way that helps you to stress less. If you love to exercise, ride a bike, run, any of those things, but try and fit that into your day-to-day life. My fifth tip is supplements, but before I say anything about supplements, I do want to say I am an advocate for getting all your nutrients from food if you can do that. When we're in a high stress situation, it might be a good time to supplement for a little bit to kind of calm our bodies down. Remember how I talked about when we are stuck in that fight or flight mode, we're more easily triggered. Our body is used to like jumping at every opportunity to put us into fight or flight. For a temporary amount of time, you might want to try some of these adaptogens or supplements. Another sidebar is I'm not a doctor. So before you do any of this, you need to talk to your doctor. I encourage that. I think that will be good for you. So make sure that you talk to your doctor before you do any of this. All right, so adaptogens. My number one recommendation is ashwagandha. I take that and it has been wonderful for me. Ashwagandha helps with stress. I recommend that you take one that has the liquid inside of the capsules versus the powder. I just noticed when I took the powder ones, I got like a really bad burning situation. So that's just my fair warning to you. Ashwagandha and any adaptogen is really having a moment right now. Adaptogens are all over the place, so you should have no trouble finding them. They come in all different forms, powders, pills. There's even drinks right now that have some of these adaptogens in them, like ashwagandha. Another adaptogen is turmeric, also having a moment right now. Turmeric is great for combating inflammation, so there's one huge reason to take it, but also it's great at helping with depression. And as we talked about, stress can also lead to things that also lead to depression, anxiety. Turmeric can help with that. Turmeric comes in powders, pills, just like ashwagandha. If you haven't heard of it, turmeric lattes are amazing. If you have the powder at home, you can make up your own turmeric lattes and drink one of those a day. Another supplement that's great for calming is magnesium. Magnesium's great for stress, calming, anxiety. Another great way to get magnesium, if you don't want to take it in a pill form or a powder form, is to take an Epsom salt bath. If you have access to a bathtub, get a bag of Epsom salts, put about 2 cups, 2 cups of Epsom salt in your bath, swish it around so it absorbs into the water, and then soak in that for 20 minutes. That's going to get the magnesium into your body, but of course you're obviously going to get more in your body if you're taking it in pill form or if you're drinking it from a powder mixed with water. Okay, so let's recap really quick. My 5 tips for stress management are writing down your thoughts, doing breathing exercises, setting boundaries, walking or exercise, and supplements. In closing, I want to challenge you to do one of these things for 1 week and then come back and post in the comments what you noticed, how it worked, what was different for you. And then if you're an overachiever, I challenge you to then, after the first week, pick a second stress management tool from the list and add that in and still continue to do the one from the first week. Do that for a week until you've added in all 5 of these things. If you do that, please come back and let us know how it works. I'd love to hear how this helped you, what your results were, and how you're feeling. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. That tells me that you like the content that I'm putting out there so I can make more and help you live a healthier and happier life. That is my ultimate goal with this channel. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I can't wait to see you again. Take care.